When you think of the Great Bear defensive lines, you picture Super Bowl MVP Richard Dent, the Fridge, the folk hero William Perry, and Danimal, the recently retired Dan Hampton. But isn't there someone else as well?
Hey, people, do you know me? I play for the Chicago Bears, too. Every game since 1981 in these freezing winters. So you know I've done my duty. Why does it only get noticed when I hit some newscaster with shaving cream or a whiskey bottle?
Steve McMichael. Don't play defense without him.
Out of a shotgun formation, here's the snap to Chris Chandler. Looks downfield, hit from behind, down he goes. Steve McMichael on the sack, back in.
McMichael's effectiveness is enhanced by the fact that he's a full-time player once again. With Hampton gone, the Bears are no longer rotating tackles as they did last season.
And last year, I think it limited his effectiveness because he's so savvy and so much of his game is based on counters and reading what a guy is going to do and setting a guy up for one move.
And the old bull, as they call him, is as crafty as ever, just shy of his 34th birthday.
There's old Steve just chugging along. Yeah, I like that image for myself. Yeah, I don't want to be the idol of millions. I just want to play football and be in my own little world like you've enjoyed this afternoon.
Visiting with the McMichaels, watching this on-the-field tough guy cuddle his beloved little Peppy is a sight to behold.
Is he two different people, though, to an extent? The side that we see on the TV show and the bully, so to speak, on the field as opposed to the way
he's like a little Dennis the Menace. He's a real character. He loves to act goofy in front of people and do the shock value what he says.
I'm going to go buy an Irish wolfhound and just beat the out of him every day. My defense mechanism is my comedy, my candor, my vulgarity. So people, if it offends them, they leave me alone.
Please welcome our special guest on the Mike Ditka Show, Steve McMichael.
But fewer people now leave him alone, what with his growing popularity. McMichael has his own TV show and even his own theme song, the Mongo Boogie.
Because it's my show, that's right. Because it's my show, yes it is. It's my show!
Yes, he's got the trappings of success, but he's not gone Hollywood just yet, because he's not ready to leave the game he loves so dearly.
It's euphoria. To come out of that tunnel before a game, the goosebumps, people screaming for you. If everybody could do that, they would know true elation.
Folks, for the first time ever on the Squared Circle Time Machine, it's time to heat it up because we're gonna watch some WCW Monday Nitro. It's Greg here with Dane, and Dane, are you excited? This is gonna be our first Monday Nitro here on this podcast.
For sure, because I watched some of the 95, 96 Nitros when I had the WWE Network, because as I've many times expressed, never really got WCW up here in Canada if you had the over-the-air TV. But actually, in 97, our one over-the-air station started showing like a 1 hour version of Monday Nitro on Sunday afternoon. So one day I kind of turned like, okay, well, I want to see what this, and it was just right after NWO sold out. So the first thing that I had right off the bat was showing the Outsiders and Steiner's title change, but that's Bischoff decided, no, it didn't count. Give the titles back to the Outsiders, and Randy Anderson, you're fired.
Oh man, that's a shitty first episode for you, Dane.
Well, yeah, it was, and it was just kind of like thinking like here, like not knowing. All of a sudden, I see this guy in a leather jacket and nicely shined black hair, and I see, oh my god, wait, that's Razor Ramon and Diesel. What the hell are they doing? Wait, they're called Hall and Nash? And I was almost like thinking back, like to Jario, like, okay, so who's the other one? If the first one's Holland Nash, who's the other guy then?
Well, thanks to Bob Backlund, I already knew Diesel was Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
But it was like when I found out that Razor Ramon's first name was Scott, I felt betrayed. It's like, you're not Cuban at all, are you?
Yeah.
But I will say this, Dave. Now, I had only gotten TBS in my area in Long Island in 1994. So I only had TBS for a year. So I would intensely watch WCW Saturday Night at 6:05 on TBS. And I was hooked on it. I loved WCW Saturday Night. I thought it was like the best wrestling show out of all the wrestling shows. And I would consume all the wrestling every weekend. And then when I found out that they were going to have a show on Monday night at the Clash of the Champions in August of 95, I was like, wait, they're going to have a show on Monday nights on TNT? It's going to be on the same time as Monday Night Raw? What the hell? I got to switch back. What? What kind of shit is this? Now, I do remember the first Nitro. It was very smart of WCW to run the first Monday Nitro unopposed because that was when Monday Night Raw would be preempted by USA Network for the US Open tennis tournament.
Oh, yes. I remember those times when US Open and then the Westminster Dog Show.
Yeah. Thank God they don't have to worry about preemptions anymore.
Nope. They just got to worry about apparently crashing, dwindling viewership now, I guess.
Oh, yeah. The viewership is so crashing. You know, unlike AEW with the 11 billion max viewers.
Yeah.
Again, Dave, stop snorting Tony's Coke. But I will say, when I saw Lex Luger on the first Nitro, I was like, oh my God. And then they set up the second Nitro, which was going to be Hogan and Luger for the world title. And I'm like, what? That's a dream matchup.
Yeah, with this one that we're about to watch, like right off the bat, the first match is like Savage versus Luger. I know we've talked many times, like Savage could still go, and I don't know, for whatever reason, Vince decided to keep him on commentary for reasons unknown. Even Savage versus Narcissist in WWF would have been like pretty interesting.
Here we go. This is episode 5 of Monday Nitro from October 2nd of 1995. So we're in Denver, Colorado. Now, I believe, I'm not sure the arena. I think it's McNichol's Arena because that would have been, I think, the arena for the Nuggets at the time.
Yeah, and then would be the future home of the Colorado Avalanche when the Quebec Nordiques moved there. These are all 1 hour Nitros. Would they do other tapings like for Saturday night or all the other weekend shows like Main Event and Pro and Worldwide afterwards? Because it seems kind of silly to rent out something and have 10,000 people show up for just 1 hour of TV.
No, they still did the Saturday nights at Center Stage in Atlanta. And then I guess they did the main events and Worldwides and WCW pros at like your Disney MGMs and small arenas and whatnot. Actually, this was at the Denver Coliseum, so not at Nichols Arena. So
okay.
And I believe the Avalanche would have just gotten to Colorado at this time.
Yeah.
This is October 95.
Okay, yeah.
So we get started for this Monday Nitro. Now, Dane, I gotta say, I love the opening to Monday Nitro, the montage. And I love the best part of the opening is right before the Hulkster's about to tear his shirt. If you pause it at 6 seconds in the video, if you look closely at the store, it says prescriptions.
Oh, God. That's not subtle at all.
And you know, I just realized something. Like last week, I was informed that this opening with the buildings was actually shot at Disney MGM Studios. I'm guessing it was maybe one of the districts that had Maybe, I think maybe in the New York building or something. Because I do remember there was a Saturday night, I think, that taped at Disney MGM around that same area. So I'm guessing that's maybe where they got the shots from. But I do love the fact that when the fire comes in and explodes the sign, I love that it leaves like a tail of flame, like it's the DeLorean going back to 1985.
Yeah. Definitely a livelier opening credits than to compare to Raw at the time.
I did love the siren of Monday Night Raw. I love the theme. But I gotta say, this ruled. This went pretty hard, the Nitro meeting.
Yeah.
So we have our commentary team. It's Eazy-E Eric Bischoff with Bobby the Brain and Steve Mongo McMichael with Pepe. And now, Dave, we have to talk about Mongo because, oh, man, we miss Mongo. It's been, I think, about 2 months since his passing. And I got to say, I did like the tribute that AEW made on Collision honoring Mongo I mentioned a couple weeks ago on this podcast. Yeah. And I'm very happy that Mongo got to see him being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame right before he passed.
Yeah, that was definitely a classy move made by Pro Football Hall of Fame committee and the NFL to make sure that he at least got to have that honor posthumously.
Yeah, because I remember when that happened with Ron Santo, the former Chicago Cub, when he finally got inducted right after he passed, I always thought, oh, this should have happened when he was still alive. So I'm glad they did that with Mongo. Yeah. They didn't wait to do that after he died. Yeah. So that was kind of nice.
Or do what Major League Baseball has done and wait till Pete Rose has died and decide, hey, let's maybe consider him and Shoeless Joe Jackson now for our Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we could have done that 20 years ago when we were getting all that money from DraftKings, but no, we wanted to wait until Pete was fucking dead before we finally decided to do this. Okay, Rob Manfred.
Out of all of this, Gary Bettman still remains commissioner of the NHL.
How is Gary Bettman still commissioner? A guy who's had 3 work stoppages and was around when a freaking con man tried to buy the Islanders. Have you ever watched that 30 for 30 about that?
No, I haven't, but living in around Alberta, we have kind of con man in Peter Pocklington who used to own the Oilers, and I got some stories to tell about that piece of film.
Oh, considering he traded Gretzky, oh my God. Especially while Wayne Gretzky was babysitting Robin Thicke. How could you do that while he was babysitting Robin Thicke? But we have to show that if you're watching this on the WCW YouTube channel at 109 the video, Pepe has googly eyes.
Yeah. That cracked me up when I saw that because I like the little rat dogs like the Chihuahuas there. And they're even funnier when they get dressed up and I'm putting on like the googly eye glasses there, though it's even peak comedy, I tell you.
I gotta say, for a Chihuahua, Pepe was very well behaved every week.
Oh, yeah. Like, especially as we'll see shortly after this, a wild Nature Boy appears.
Oh, yeah. So while Eric's introducing us to the show, Ric Flair shows up, takes Eric's headset, puts it on, because he's got a match tonight with Double A Arn Anderson. And the best part is, while this promo's going on, the facials Mongo's giving while Rick is cutting this promo is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, Eric and Bobby are just like bantering. This was so amazing, that promo for Rick. So now we go into this montage here.
Yep.
With the history between Savage and Luger.
I see Luger still got the puffy shirt from his debut.
Oh, yeah. Making look like Jerry in the puffy shirt episode of Seinfeld. Yeah. I don't want to be a pirate.
I don't want to be a pirate. Maybe Vince was going to make me a pirate instead of Pierre Carl Ouellette.
So, okay, I'm guessing Randy, the previous week on Nitro, had a handicap match with Taskmaster and the Zodiac.
Mm-hmm.
So We see him. He's going to give the elbow here. And the Giant's coming out.
B5 full bum.
Oh, yeah. Giant choke slams Randy. And then, oh, wait. Brad Armstrong tries to help. He doesn't do anything. Now it's right. What are you doing here? You're not going to. What are you trying to think that you can handle the Big Show? Come on.
Das Wonder Kid gets scooshed.
So now here comes Lex. He just strolls in. So it's like, oh, I guess Lex was trying to help Randy. Okay. Yep. So Lex tries to slam the Giant, and nope, he probably learned from Yokozuna that doesn't how to not take the body slam.
Yeah, they just hip tossed him. Yeah, he eats a choke slam instead from the Giant. While Savage still with legs there, and I'm guessing Taskmaster's cackling all evilly.
We got our match here between Lex and Randy. Now, Lex is risking his career, Dane. So if he loses this match, his career is over.
Well, I think Mongo said that he can go back to that other organization then.
Well, Championship Wrestling for Florida doesn't exist anymore, Dane, so I don't know how he can go back there.
There is that one big fan there at front row there that's wearing all decked out in the Hogan stuff there.
Oh, the guy in the red jacket?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I love that outfit. You know what else is a great outfit? This outfit that Randy has coming to the ring here.
Oh, God. I love every time I saw Savage before he went to like the NWO and then like later on with all the weird stuff there with Medusa and Gorgeous George and Sid. He had such colorful ring gear. And an extra whammy bar, too, in the Pomp and Circumstances mix for the theme. And a nice, ooh, yeah, during it.
Oh, yes. Now, I have it paused. I love this one fan here in this red and white shirt holding this very vintage camera right here with the glasses.
Yeah.
And then there's this, like, old lady right here next to him, too.
Oh, she looks slightly suspicious. Maybe a stunt granny, perhaps?
Now, Mongo is telling the kids about the WCW hotline plug to put the WCW hotline on the speakerphone and let the parents hear it. Why? Why would the parents want to hear what's going on in the hotline?
Either maybe to make sure that the kids didn't BS their parents and didn't call this number, and it's not like one of those other 1-900 numbers that are a bit on the risque side.
So I do have a Scott review for this episode, so let me get to the review for this match. The video package shows what happened between them last week. So clearly, there was a show, and the network has just admitted it for some strange reason. So I'm guessing that at the time Scott was doing this review, they didn't have the previous week's Nitro on the network at the time he reviewed this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe. Luger has put his career on the line here. And since he's not in the WWF, he probably won't choke. They fight to the floor on a lockup, and we take a break for a Halloween Havoc commercial that shows Hogan leg dropping Vader a bunch of times. Well played.
Oh, yes. Because Vader got fired around this time for getting into a backstage fight with Paul Orndorff, of all people.
Yeah, I didn't even realize until like years later that's what happened. I'm like, really?
Yeah. I think even like for the last pay-per-view, like for Fall Brawl, like before Luger ended up on the team, I guess it was Vader that was supposed to be on Team Hogan versus the Dungeon of Doom. But then they kind of said that Vader went AWOL. In comes Flexi Lexi to save the day.
All right, back to the Scott review. Back with Savage elbowing Luger out of the ring, where Luger wins a battle for a neck breaker. And back in where Savage gets a small package for 2. Luger hits him with a press slam, but Savage gets a hard fought backslide that Luger blocks and reverses for 2. Collision and both guys are out, but Savage tosses him and makes the comeback. Double axe handle to the floor, but Luger runs him into the post. Back in, ref is bumped, and Savage drops the elbow to no avail. Okay, yeah, because here comes the best part here. The ref is Randy Anderson. He gets knocked out, and the best part is there's a fan who's like waving for Randy to wake up. So the fan that is next to the Hogan fan is literally pointing at freaking Randy Anderson to wake the F up as Savage is hitting Luger.
Wake up, you fool.
And it's also timely he's wearing a Rockies shirt because obviously this is in Colorado. This would be the year that the Colorado Rockies in their third season made the National League playoffs as the first ever National League wild card because they would play the Atlanta Braves the following day in the NLDS.
Yes, and I think it was mentioned later on in the broadcast, actually, that I think either Bischoff or Mongo congratulated the Rockies for doing that, and then having to face the Braves the next day or whenever they were playing them like you said, in the NLDS.
Yeah, and I remember this day also because this was also the same day that the Seattle Mariners played the California Angels in the one-game tiebreaker for the American League Western Division title earlier that day. And I remember like Randy Johnson being so dominant on the mound and Luis Sojo hitting a Little League grand slam to the game. I think Seattle won that game like 11-0. And then they had to go on a plane and fly to New York to play the Yankees in the ALDS the next day. Let's get back here. Ref is bumped and Savage drops the elbow to no avail. The Giant heads out and choke slams Savage, and Luger keeps his career at 12:30. I was really into this feud, and it was one of the things that pulled me back into watching WCW at the time. 3 stars.
It was actually a very, very good match, and the ending was kind of a bit of a weird. Like after Savage got chokeslammed and Luger tries to, why not just pin him? And but instead he awkwardly picks him up, then puts him in a torture rack, and then the ref wakes. Oh, okay. But other than that, it was a very entertaining match, and I wished we would get more from Savage and Luger.
Well, they do wrestle at Halloween Havoc, but there's like a catch because I think Savage has to beat Ming or Luger has to beat somebody. You'd think I'd remember this because I reviewed Halloween Havoc 95 with Scott on Wrestle Tracks like 2 years ago, but I forget the details. All I remember was Luger and Savage had to win a match to face each other, and they won their matches and they faced each other.
Yeah.
So, okay, the Halloween Havoc promos. Now, Dane, I mentioned to you that I have a memory of these promos.
Yes.
Now, okay, when I would get up early in the morning to wait for the bus for school, I would put on, for fun, the channel that had Request TV, and early in the morning they would have, like, the promos ready, uploaded from the satellite. Unencrypted.
Yeah.
In advance, like maybe a month or two in advance. So I would watch it every day and see if it was up or not. I remember watching the Bash at the Beach countdown show like 2 weeks before it happened. They had promos for Halloween Havoc 95 before Fall Brawl.
Yeah.
Teasing the man versus man monster against machine match. The sumo monster truck match against the Giant. And I'm like, wait, so they're going to have monster trucks and Hogan's going to face the Giant at Halloween Havoc? And I didn't understand where the monster trucks fit into it. This is like my early dirt sheet in video form, thanks to the satellite feeds in advance. So I remember watching the main event before Fall Brawl where the Giant has that big monster truck that smashes Hogan's Harley Davidson. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is setting up the match, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Black Beauty. Hogan's Harley getting smashed by the Giant's monster truck.
And the Giant just making like all kinds of mean faces.
And laughing his ass off at the Hulkster. Okay, so now we get Eric plugging what's coming up on WCW Saturday night. So we have a tag match between Arn Anderson and Brian Pillman against Bunkhouse Buck and Dick Slater. And then we have Johnny V. Bad in action. And then we also have a big matchup between Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Big Bubba Rogers. Now, I got to be honest, I would be very pumped about Hacksaw Jim Duggan against Big Bubba. So, okay, we have right before our big match between Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko, we have Disco Inferno doing a disco dance?
Yeah, for some reason. And even just before panning over to him, I think we had at the announce desk, we had Bobby Heenan doing a little vibing the disco's theme.
And Bobby says that instead of the national anthem at the Atlanta, Colorado game, they're going to have Disco Inferno do his disco dance instead of the national anthem. Now, Dane, I got to be honest. We know what would happen the next day after the show. We would have the OJ verdict because Eric mentions that they made a decision on the verdict and it was going to be read the next day. And he says, tune into CNN about that.
Yeah.
Now, I think what would have been great, what would have been great healing for the country is if Major League Baseball heard Bobby Heenan and said, you know what? We should do that. We should have to heal the nation, Disco Inferno do his disco dance instead of the national anthem at the Atlanta, Colorado game. I think that would have healed the nation.
The nation would have been healed. Heck, I would have almost to the full point of replacing the national anthem with Disco Inferno's theme.
Oh, yes. Remember on Family Guy when Peter Griffin said, ladies and gentlemen, I give you your new national anthem. This should be the new national anthem. The Disco Inferno theme.
Yeah.
And then we have Eddie coming out like, what the hell are you doing?
And actually, it kind of confused me for a bit because he came out to what I would know more as Juventud Guerrero's theme. And I know WCW was famous for recycling themes a lot, so that kind of threw me for a bit. But even seeing, because this is about a year, a little bit over a year removed from our last time we saw Eddie on When Worlds Collide, so he's mulletless in this match. But he's got a nice sharp haircut nonetheless here.
I liked Eddie's haircut here. And I like this suit he's got on here, this jacket.
Yeah. Oh, that's a nice flashy jacket. Of course, like I kind of was talking a bit, when I started watching WCW on a regular basis, I was more into I think he grew out his mullet a bit more, and then that's when he formed the original LWO and was emotionally and physically abusing poor Chavo Jr.
Oh, yeah. The LWO. I freaking love the LWO, the original version. That's like one of my favorite moments of all time, the LWO. And then we get Dean Malenko. Now, Dane, this was like the early days of WCW Nitro. I didn't watch ECW. I didn't know anything about what was going on in ECW. I'd know about it in the magazines, but it wasn't like I knew what was going on all the time there.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about Eddie and Dean and their history in ECW. But when I saw this match, I was like, wow, this is absolutely incredible. Now, they show clips from the main event. Now, Eddie won the opportunity to face Dean Malenko by beating Jushin Liger on main event.
Wow, that's... Oh, yeah, because I remember Liger was there for a bit for a cup of coffee. New Japan Exchange, I guess. The very first match for Nitro was Liger versus Flying Brian Pillman.
Yep. So Eddie beats Liger with the frog splash, which Tony Schiavone...
Yeah. For some reason, called it a jackknife for some reason.
Yeah, Tony Schiavone calls it a jackknife, and I'm like, what?
Once again, going up high. Now, when he did this a while ago, he made a mistake. He can't afford one right here, Tony. But the brainbuster made sure he's down, and Eddie Guerrero up top. A jackknife! And he's on top of it. 2, 3, and he wins it.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is your winner, Eddie Guerrero.
Sensational. Eddie Guerrero goes on to Nitro live in Denver tomorrow night to face the man who said he wanted to face him, and that was Dean Malenko.
Maybe is that what he called it before it became known as a frog splash? I don't know. Or is Tony just hopped up in goofballs and called the wrong move?
Oh, you got me. We got a clean-shaven Nick Patrick reffing this match.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah.
So I always knew him more with the mustache, and I think, or did he also? Because I thought I remembered like when he ended up in the WWF after the purchase. I think he finally shaved and was clean shaven there too. I think for a bit.
Yeah. I actually like Nick in WWE with the clean shaven look there. So here's the Scott review for this match. They fight over a knuckle lock, and Eddie flips out of it while Mongo ponders the 1,000 moves of Dean Malenko as compared to a book with 100 sex positions.
What the hell? Okay, because I know I remember like in Brett's book, like he would talk sometimes at how he would try different submission moves or even practice putting the sharpshooter on his now ex-wife Julie. So that's like, what? They could have worked that into Dean Malenko's lady killer gimmick that he had in the WWF.
Oh, when he was trying to court Lita?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that would have been amazing. So we go to the back, and guess who arrives? It's the Hulkster in a limo.
And somewhat comically placed cervical collar around him.
Oh, yeah, it's hilarious. And Jimmy Hart's like, baby, your neck's not 100%. The John's in the building tonight. He did something to Randy Savage. You don't want to be here tonight, baby. And the Hulkster's like, well, let me tell you something, brother. I got like 10,000 little Hulkamaniacs here in Denver that want to see me, and I can't leave this building, Jimmy. So, yeah, he's going to go out, talk to Mean Gene, and I'm sure nothing's going to happen to him, Dane.
Nothing bad's going to happen here.
Oh, no, nothing's going to happen to Hulkster at all, despite what Jimmy says.
Yep. It's interesting foreshadowing to, because I think even quite a bit we get Hogan keep calling Jimmy like his best friend to the end. And of course, we know what happens at Halloween Havoc there with Jimmy Hart, I guess, putting in the clause that the title could change on a disqualification, and Hogan getting double DP'd by the Giant and the Yeti.
You know, my favorite part about Tony saying the Yeti is that he's a mummy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not an abominable snowman. I'm guessing it's because the episodes of Doctor Who where the Yeti was the abominable snowman were like lost at the time. So they didn't know what a Yeti was.
And then he ended up just becoming like a big giant scorpion ripoff at World War III. I think the best part was, I think, Bobby Heenan saying, well, it looks like he finally thawed out.
Let's get back to Scott here. Back with the match and another intricate reversal sequence, but both guys end up on the floor. So that Eddie hits him with a dive from the top rope and literally a quarter of the way up the aisle. Whoa. Back in, Brainbuster and Frog Splash hits the knees. Another series of switches, and Eddie gets the reversal for the pin at 5:41. Dean is upset, but he asks for a rematch like a man. Too short to be worth much, and the Hogan bullshit brought it down some. But what there was spectacular technical wrestling for the time, 3 stars.
Yeah, the Hogan stuff was kind of jarring. Like, I thought it ruined the flow of the match, but God, that was like impressive at the time. Could have been something that could have filled up another 5-10 minutes yet.
Yeah, that would have been great if they had gone another 5 to 10 minutes. But it wasn't to be, unfortunately.
Not this time, at least.
Okay, now we get into the big interview with the Hulkster and Mean Gene. So he's got a neck brace on. They're talking about the match and then the Sumo Monster Truck match. But let's be honest, Dean, that's not what's important. What's important is what happens after the promo.
Oh, yes. He's got his shirt all torn off, but first he's going to shake all the hands of the Hulkamaniacs at ringside first.
All right, let's go to Gene.
As you know, Hogan to meet the Giant in Detroit on October the 29th when it's machine versus machine and man versus man at Halloween Havoc. circling right now ringside. I don't know if I'm going to get him back in here for more comments or not. But Hulk Hogan certainly very popular. Oh, what is this? There's a woman with a cane. What is this? Come on.
Wait a minute. What is this?
Hold on.
Who is it?
Off. Back to you.
I'll take it, Gene. Hey, you see, this is what makes the WCW Monday Nitro so exciting, baby. You never know what's going to happen.
That's no woman. That's no woman. That's Norman Bates.
Oh, God bless you, Mongo, for really helping sell this stuff.
I love that Mongo's first reaction to this is, holy shit, this is what makes this show so exciting, because you never know what can happen. An old lady could fight with the Hulkster.
Old lady's going to throw powder in the Hogan's face and then whack Jimmy Hart with the cane and then beat up Hogan with said cane.
But, oh no, the Zodiac and the Giant are coming out.
Yes. No.
No. Yes. No.
No. Yes.
And the old lady unmasked and oh, wait a minute, Dane. That's no lady.
That's no lady. That's Norman Bates, as Bobby Heenan stated.
It's Kevin
Or-
Sullivan.
Our own resident cycle, which Bobby also states.
So the Giant, he rips the neck brace off Hogan. And then he breaks his neck again.
Okay. Because this happened twice in the WWF with Zeus. This happened last month at Fall Brawl during once the Hulkamaniacs won, and then Hogan got Sullivan in the cage for about 5 minutes, and then Giant comes out and breaks the Hogan. So, and now again, but yet Hogan claims that Undertaker's tombstone in 1978 was what messed up his neck.
Wait, did he actually say in 1978?
Not 78, but he did say that Taker at Survivor Series messed up his neck when he gave him the tombstone. Even though camera angles pretty much showed that that was probably the safest looking tombstone I've ever saw.
Like, that's nowhere near the chair. Come on. But oh no, Kevin Sullivan's got clippers. Oh, I don't believe this, Dane.
No.
They're shaving off the Hulkster's mustache.
The trademark mustache is coming off.
Oh, this is Eric saying that this is so low it goes beyond the world heavyweight title. I gotta agree. This is like disgraceful.
Yes.
Hold on a second. I gotta be honest. I kind of wish it had just stayed like it is right here at 30-31 for reasons.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what they are, but but oh wait, we got the American males coming out. Oh no, Marcus Bagwell, what? Scotty Riggs, what are you trying to do here? Come on, you're not going to stop the Giant and the Dungeon of Doom.
Not at this rate. Not at this time when they're building him up to be an unstoppable monster. And then in comes the Nasty Boys. And they too also, both Knobs and Sags, eat a chokeslam.
Yeah. But oh, here's the best part of this, Dane. So the Zodiac has like these little scissors. Kevin Sullivan wants Zodiac to cut his hair. And Zodiac's going, yes, no.
Oh, no. What? Yes.
Well, I think we know why he's confused about cutting the hair, Dane.
That was 5 gimmicks ago for me.
So finally, we get security to help the Hulkster, and we get another commercial for Halloween Havoc. And oh, well, the Hulkster. He has his mustache shaved, and oh, I don't think we're ever going to be the same again, Dane. Like I said, we've had dark times. We're going to have dark times tomorrow with the verdict. Like I said, we should have had Disco Inferno do his dance at the NLDS. Would have healed America between that and Hogan's mustache being shaved.
Yes. I'm sure that mustache will eventually grow back.
Yeah, hopefully. Or as soon as the take of Santa with Muscles ends.
Yeah.
Okay, since we won't have the Nasty Boys against the American Males, and it's probably for the best, let's be honest.
Yeah.
We get our main event of the night, and that's a rematch from Fall Brawl between the Nature Boy and Arn Anderson.
So it was something I was kind of confused with. Because, I mean, I remember watching Halloween Havoc and then seeing, like, Sting and Flair versus Arn and Flying Brian. And, of course, one of my favorites all-time fake outs, double crosses, heel turn, whatever you want to call it. And Flair in that match when it's like Sting pretty much handicapped because apparently the Dastardly heels had somehow stopped Rick from coming in that time. And Rick comes out in street clothes, begs Sting for the hot tag, comes in, and then Flair decides to clobber Sting, and all three of them beat down Sting just because. And I think also even during this time, I remember hearing that like Flair comes out like all kind of like little kids and tries to like show I'm a good guy now, Sting, you can trust me. And then Sting's like, okay, but if you double cross me, old man, you're dead.
Well, he did warn him. He expected that was going to happen.
And I know before, like Flair was kind of associated with Vader and trying to get the title off Hogan because Flair is retired, but yet still kind of active, or what? So how did this all happen between... What was the initial part of Flair and Anderson deciding to have beef? Is what I'm getting at.
Okay, I think like there was like a handicap match. I want to say between Flair and Anderson against Vader at the Clash. And Flair and Anderson had like a fight after the match after Vader won, which led to their feud.
Okay.
So here we go. Rick and Orton. And I should mention that at Fall Brawl, when they had their first matchup, that was when Pillman got involved because he interfered in the match.
Yeah.
So let's get Scott's review of this match. Flair comes out throwing chops and Orton backdrops him for two and goes to work on a hammerlock. Orton goes to the eyes, but Flair low bridges him to the floor and they brawl out there. Back in, Orton elbows him in the gut, but Flair pokes him in the eye, so Orton puts him down with a spine buster for two. Flair fights dirty again and gets the figure four, but they spill to the floor again and brawl. Back in, Orton tries a DDT and Flair blocks it, and it's back to the figure four. This brings out Pillman for the DQ at 8:30, and the beatdown is on. 2.5 stars.
Yeah, this felt like a kind of a continuation of the feud, I guess, or it's just almost felt like it should have been, because I know Eric was advertising this as a like double main event with Savage and Luger, and I think they should have switched them around. Like I think Flair and Anderson should have opened up, especially since Flair came out almost ready for the fight, and then, but I guess then it wouldn't have made sense for the Giant then to come out and interfere after helping with the shaving of Hogan. So
yeah, I suppose that makes sense. So we have Eric, Bobby, and Mongo to wrap this one up as they plug next week. Ric Flair and Orton will meet again in a steel cage.
Let's check and see if that's, because I know they're really out of order on the Vault channel there, but I should check and see if that, because I'd be interested to see that match for sure. And even the other ones that they kind of advertised, because I think they advertised, I remember liking it on Halloween Havoc, and I think they advertised the now recently late Sabu versus Mr. JL.
Yes. But also on Nitro next week, we're going to have Sting against the Shark. And then we're going to have also Big Bubba against Hawk.
Wow.
And I believe they do mention that Nitro next week will be at the Rosemont Horizon. And Eric mentions that Hawk has a big history in Chicago, obviously. So,
yeah.
So, hometown boy coming back to Chicago for Nitro. So, that's our episode of Nitro. And I got to say, very solid episode. And you could tell early on with Nitro that they were bringing it each week. They were like, we're here and we're going to bring our best matches for this show and give you a dynamite hour of television. No pun intended.
Yeah. So I think it's just later on that it gets kind of bogged down with the 2 hours and then the 3 hours. I think we've had our own discussion. 1 hour seems to be like the ideal wrestling show time. Like even when you think back to like with NXT, like once they went away from the Double Dare version and started showing like the whole black and gold era stuff. That was probably like the best use of 1 hour of television.
Oh, definitely for NXT.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Since we didn't mention current wrestling at the top, now I should mention with my summer work coming up, we're not going to be talking about current wrestling that much, and we might have a couple weeks delay between shows here and there. So we're going to be trying to cut current wrestling discussion out for the next month or two while my situation is going on right now with my summer work. But I should mention that with NXT, speaking of, Mariah May showed up in the last episode of NXT.
Yes, she did. And unfortunately also finally got to see before her, we got also the on-screen debut of another indie darling and Performance Center standout, Lainey Reed. Also made on-air appearance. She came out of the crowd and challenged Miss JC Jane to the title before we had the rest of the women's division come out, and rightfully so, getting the spotlight on Miss Mariah May, who may or may not go through a name change.
You know what they should call her? Mariah June. Be like, it's 1 month later. No one's going to know the difference.
Yeah, and June is when she debuted, so...
Oh, and we're going to be getting, they officially announced it, Okada and Omega at All In.
And I believe I read it's going to be a unification match between Okada's Continental Classic Championship and Omega's International Championship.
So they're going to get rid of, I'm guessing, the Continental title, which Okada's been the only freaking champion of.
Yeah.
Well, that was stupid. Why did they freaking give him a title then?
Well, because he won. Well, no, because I thought the Continental Championship was just from winning that silly tournament that Tony does in November that kills the ratings more than usual.
This is why you don't freaking watch this show every week. It's like, what the frig? And also, they got a Continental Classic and they got an Owen Hart tournament. It's like they got two freaking tournaments.
And they got 50,000 special shows because I think this week was the second half of Fyter Fest, and then I think next week is going to be the Summer Blockbuster, and then apparently they have like Grand Slam is going to be in Mexico this year.
When you have like 500 special shows, none of these shows seem important. Why should I fucking care about your show if every show is supposed to be important?
Oh, yeah. I guess apparently Dave Meltzer's boyfriend, Will Ospreay, apparently says that a lot of people think AEW sucks because of the champion right now, which is Jon Moxley, who's carrying around a belt inside a briefcase for some reason.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. The fucking briefcase. Oh, wow. Whatever.
Yeah. Hopefully Hangman Page can get it off him. I know we talked last time and said there's probably saving it for Darby Allin, but like I said before, the whole ratings Death Riders thing has pretty much ran its course and needs to... I mean, does Moxley have that much stroke in terms of creative control?
I don't know.
Or is Tony just too busy signing Adam Cole's brother now to his football team?
Wait, he really did that?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Wait, so is he going to, like, carry the playbook for Trevor Lawrence when he eventually gets benched because he sucks so much?
More than likely.
Oh, I wish I could feel sorry for Jacksonville Jaguar fans, but I don't.
Are there any Jacksonville Jaguar fans, period? Or is it like just like the few thousand people who actually show up to the games?
There's maybe, I know one on YouTube, which is Jaguar Gator 9. That's it. That's all the Jaguars fans I know in the world. I don't know a single person aside from him who would actually want to root for this team. A team which freaking employed Urban Meyer, for God's sakes. Hey, remember when Tony Khan said that Urban Meyer was a great, swell human being? That's right, all you anti-Vince AEW bots. You all root for a freaking guy who simped for Urban Meyer while he was cheating on his wife with some floozy in his bar in Columbus.
But yet, the WWE is the Harvey Weinstein of wrestling.
Oh, God. Oh, Dane, I need something to get my mind off all this shit with AEW. Oh, I know. How about next time we watch some Georgia Championship Wrestling again?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I think you sent me the link for it, and I'm already interested because for the first few minutes I see Dusty Rhodes dressed up like he's auditioning for a live-action version of Andy Capp. He's got like the British cabbie hat on and just the jacket.
Okay, so next time on the Squared Circle Time Machine, we are going to be talking about the July 3rd, 1982 episode of Georgia Championship Wrestling. And that'll be at our next episode of the Squared Circle Time Machine. For Dane, I'm Greg, and we'll see you with that episode in a couple of weeks. Have a good rest of your day, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you your new national anthem.
Disco fever, disco fever, disco fever, yeah, 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 yeah. Disco fever, disco fever, disco fever, yeah, yeah.
Ding!